The year is 2025. Tensions run high between China and the Philippines. The world holds its breath, anticipating action. Will it be fleets of warships? Fighter jets screaming overhead? Missiles streaking towards targets? No. Instead, China sends something altogether unexpected. Its 1.4 billion people simultaneously relieve themselves. It's a barrage of bladder relief, a coordinated urination. Can this be a new form of attack? Does this unfiltered flow pose a threat? Will it drown Manila? The answer is surprising and might make you giggle. Let's dive in. This isn't your typical military tactic, is it? The image of 1.4 billion people unfurling their trouser rivers is both comical and surreal. But let's suppose China decides to go all out. Not with missiles, but with urine. What happens when China pees? The volume is staggering. Around 300 milliliters per person. That's roughly 500,000 liters. And we don't mean 500,000 bottles of Coke. We're talking about pure concentrated urine. Multiply that by 1.4 billion, and that's a mind-boggling 490 billion milliliters, 490 million liters. Picture this, 500 million soda cans worth of pee being released simultaneously. It's a deluge, a pee tide, a golden torrent. But can such a tidal wave make its way to the Philippines? Can it flood Manila Bay? Spoiler alert, no. But the journey from zero to hero involves some fascinating science. So how does one trigger a deadly tsunami? Earthquakes, landslides, underwater volcanic eruptions, they all play a part. The key is sudden displacement of colossal amounts of water. It's not just about volume, it's about the force of movement. A mere increase in water level won't cut it. Think of it like pushing a swing. To create a significant arc, you need force. The more forceful the push, the higher the swing goes. A gentle nudge won't get you much. Human urine, even in massive quantities, lacks the necessary force. At best, it would lead to localized flooding in urban areas or overwhelm sewage systems. But it's too little to make waves, literally. Scientists have studied and quantified the factors needed for a destructive wave. Anything less won't disrupt sea levels on a large scale. Our pee tsunami falls way short. But let's indulge in a bit of fantasy. What if we could magically transport all that urine to the ocean near the Philippines? Would that be enough? The answer still remains a resounding no. The Pacific Ocean, the closest giant, holds over 700 million cubic kilometers of water. The World Bank estimates that China's population produces about 60 million tons of urine annually. That works out to about 8,400 liters of pee for every cubic kilometer of seawater. Diluted even further upon entering the ocean, the impact on sea level would be negligible. It would be impossible to measure any rise. In other words, our pee tsunami evaporates into the vast expanse of the ocean. But wait, we haven't considered the joker in the deck, the curveball that could change everything. What if someone accidentally flushes the toilet? Yes, we're going there. Flushing toilets, those porcelain gods of waste disposal, can add a surprising amount of water to the mix. An average flush uses around 13 liters of water. Imagine if somehow all these flushes happened simultaneously. The combined effect would be a whopping 7.7 billion liters of water surging into the system. Now that's a deluge. However, it's still nowhere near the threshold required for a destructive wave. While this addition might cause localized flooding or wreak havoc on sewage systems, it doesn't alter the scientific impossibility of a pee-driven tsunami. Let's wrap up this unlikely adventure. Our hypothetical scenario reveals more about China's immense population and the actual mechanics of tsunamis, rather than a serious threat to the Philippines. The idea of 1.4 billion people coordinating their bathroom breaks is amusing, but the real story here is about scale. China's population dwarfs many nations, and understanding that size gives context to its actions and policies. It helps us see beyond stereotypes and sensationalism. For instance, China's economic boom isn't solely due to exploitation or unfair trade practices. It's partly because of sheer numbers. 1.4 billion consumers drive global markets. They buy the world's goods, propelling industries forward. Similarly, China's role in global warming isn't just about its government. Every individual adds to the collective impact. While China strives for green energy, reconciling that with 1.4 billion people presents monumental challenges. Next, consider China's territorial disputes. They aren't baseless claims. They stem from a desire to secure resources and protect its citizens. But they also involve navigating the complexities of history, and cultural ties within a massive country. Each region has its own narrative, and China must balance competing interests. This story also underscores the significance of scientific literacy. Understanding concepts like tsunamis, plate tectonics, and climate change isn't just about knowing facts. It's about making informed decisions and debunking myths. We should encourage critical thinking and evidence-based discussions on complex topics. Moreover, it sheds light on the crucial role of communication in geopolitics. Clear, respectful dialogue is vital to prevent misunderstandings that escalate conflicts. Many of the world's problems seem intractable because they've been discussed for decades without fresh perspectives. Embracing diverse voices and fostering mutual understanding can open doors to previously unimaginable solutions. Yet sometimes the most compelling aspect of a story lies in its ability to make us laugh. Life is challenging. Politics can be depressing. Laughing at absurdities can be cathartic, reminding us not to take ourselves too seriously. Finding humor in unlikely places can bring people together and create shared experiences. Amidst geopolitical tensions, the idea of a Pete tsunami can unite us in laughter, if only for a moment. In conclusion, the notion of a Pete tsunami originating from China and inundating the Philippines is an entertaining but unfounded idea. It stems from geopolitical tensions and misconceptions about China's motives and capabilities. While it's a humorous thought experiment, it shouldn't overshadow the real complexities of China's rise as a global power and its implications for the Philippines and the world. We need nuanced conversations and not just a quick laugh. As neighbors in this region, the Philippines and China have much to gain from understanding each other better. Reducing tensions benefits both countries and contributes to a more stable Asia. It's time to look beyond the P and focus on building bridges, not walls. The future of our region depends on it. A parliament building, the most powerful symbol of government in Nepal, was burning. Smoke poured into the sky while crowds of young protesters filled the streets of Kathmandu. They weren't afraid. They weren't backing down. And what shocked me most was that the police, the very people trained to protect those buildings, stepped back and did nothing. For a moment, it felt like the whole system had collapsed, and power was no longer in the hands of the politicians, but in the hands of the people. At first, I thought maybe this was fake news, but the reports kept coming in. It was true. Nepal, a small but beautiful country in South Asia known for Mount Everest and its temples, was suddenly the center of a political storm. And it wasn't just any storm. It was a rebellion led by Generation Z, young people who had finally said enough is enough. The spark came when Nepal's government banned 26 social media platforms, including Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and X. The official reason was to fight misinformation, but to many, it felt like censorship. It felt like silencing. For a nation where young people already carried the heavy burden of corruption, poverty, and unemployment, this was the final straw. Protests erupted in Kathmandu. Students poured into the streets. Workers joined them.